Welcome to the FNO InsureTech podcast, a place where movers and shakers from all points within the insurance ecosystem gather and discuss all things InsureTech. Here are your hosts, Lee Boyd and Rob Beller.
Hey, podcast world, welcome to another remarkable edition of your favorite podcast and mine, FNO InsureTech, with your star, the most connected man in insurance, Lee Boyd, and me, the little helper who's being slowly pushed out the door,
The other
Rob
guy.
Beller. The other guy, that's
You
right.
got that reverse.
You don't even need to know my name.
You got
Forget
that
it.
reverse. But hey, man, we're back. We're back for another fun episode. How about that?
Yeah, and this one is kind of interesting. We were talking before we started today about AI and Gen AI and ChatGPT, and what do you use it for? And what did you learn about this, Lee?
Well, one thing I learned, and I think this is where you're going, is that people use it differently, right? That different generations use ChatGPT different. Some use it as Google. Older folks might use it as a replacement for Google, and younger are using it as an entire operating system. And I'm always curious, how is it being used and what am I missing? Let it be ChatGPT or Copilot or any of these. It's here. It's here. And I try to use it however I can.
I'll just tell you.
You use it, don't you?
I use it all the time. I actually pay to use it.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
You use it. You use it a lot for a lot of like interesting personal things, right?
I probably give it way more personal information than what's suggested.
Probably.
But not weird stuff, just more to do with health and fitness.
Right.
And as my agent of my tracking agent.
I did it last night. I said, hey, these are all the things I ate today.
Yeah.
Was this good? Was it bad? How could I change it to get a little more fiber?
Exactly.
I used it like that last night, and it was fascinating.
Exactly. In fact, it will frequently say to me, I've been using it to track my diet, to keep track of what I'm consuming. Yeah. And it'll say frequently, do you want me to make a suggestion about that? Do you want some other approaches to these kinds of things? And so to have somebody, kick in on something that you're very interested in is terrific. Yeah. Of course, the real question is how accurate are you with this information that you're giving me? That's the big question.
That is a big question, but I do think about the time saving, right? I could pull out the Encyclopedia Britannica book and research fiber and how it correlates to weight gain or weight loss. Or I could use this tool as an assistant to help me and move on to something better. Know what I mean?
Yes. And speaking of AI, and how it can be helpful in your life.
There you go.
That's kind of a great lead-in.
Man, it's almost like I knew what I was doing.
It's almost like we talked before we did this intro today.
It's fascinating how we're so good at what we do.
For 7,000 episodes later. Mm-hmm. But seriously, folks, we have with us today a guest who is currently harnessing AI in an InsureTech model for use in claims.
Yeah, we have Robin Roberson, president and co-founder of Agentech. She is on today, and it is a really interesting company that gives digital coworkers to desk adjusters and others to help produce a better product, a quicker product, originating first in pet insurance, finding its way to homeowner, and now going into the auto world. It's a great episode to learn about what she's doing, and also we get to hear about her journey, which I think is as interesting as anything.
And if you've heard of Robin Roberson, or you know Robin Roberson, you know that she's a wonderful, warm, delightful person just to have a cup of coffee with, but also a formidable entrepreneur who's repeatedly been on the cutting edge of things. And here she is again. And Lee knows firsthand because in his day job here at Alacrity, he's been shopping this product and is duly impressed.
Yeah, it's a really neat one. I'm excited for everyone to hear about this.
Right. So without further ado, let's get to our interview with Robin Roberson, the president and founder of Agentech, and also a dear friend of ours. Hey, everybody, we're here with a special guest. And when I say special guest, I mean a very, very, very special guest. One with whom we have a long history and a wonderful history. And we're so thrilled to have her back. Robin Roberson, this is your third time? Are you a three-timer?
I'm not
No.
yet. Okay. I'm only a two-timer.
You're only a two-timer.
Welcome back, Robin. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
And
It's an honor.
but you're here today as the president and co-founder of, depending who you ask, the name of this company. I'm going to let you say
Agentech.
the name of the company.
Agentech, yes.
Agentech.
Agentech. Lee Boyd calls it Agentech.
Well, I did whenever I was talking to you about it. Yeah.
No, you call it
Tomato.
And
Agentech.
then what?
Tomato.
And then what do you call it, Rob?
I call it Agentech
Yeah. So we're both wrong. Why don't we just
because
use
there's only
Robin's?
one T. But Robin says it's Agentech. I like that.
Yes. Thanks.
Where
Thanks.
did
It's a
you-
fun
where-
play. Yeah, it's a fun play on Agentech AI. So
Well,
Ah.
somewhere during this podcast, you'll have to tell us what the heck Agentech AI is, and we'll look forward to that. But first and foremost, welcome back. It's great to have you. Where are you today?
thank you. I love you guys. Fantastic podcast and love the success that you guys have had. So thank you. It is definitely an honor. I'm calling from my home state, Oklahoma City, and we have been playing amazing, our Oklahoma City Thunder. So I am looking forward to that game.
Oh yeah. Well,
I think I actually watched them the other night. Maybe on Monday night they played.
Both Lee and I can say we've been to Oklahoma City on a
is
few
love it.
occasions.
That is true. We've
Yes.
been there. I saw Robin when I was there one time.
That's right.
I had dinner with Robin once or twice or three times. I don't know.
Or
Who-
multiple
who's
times.
counting?
Yes. Very good. Very good.
Multiple times.
Well, thank you.
But-
Great to be here.
We're so excited to have you back because, as you know, we've interviewed many, many people. Few, though, have the robust, interesting story that you do. And the last time we had you on, you were the former founder, or I guess you're always the founder or co-founder of WeGoLook, right?
Yes.
And you told us that story, but you were with a different organization then, and since then, in the way that you do things, you've founded another company.
Yes. It's been a fantastic journey. You know, it always goes back to when they say you get into claims, it's hard to leave, right? You've heard that many times, and I actually love it. It's fantastic. Lots of things to still do, but yes, I had, I believe, just exited WeGoLook the last time we spoke, or not the last time we spoke, but the last time I was on your podcast.
Right. And so before we get into Agentech, also known as Agentech, before we get into talking about that in detail, I kind of want to talk about your journey, which is so interesting. You are a serial entrepreneur. Is that a fair title for you?
That is a fair title for me, and I just lean into it and love it, actually. So yes, that's a great title.
So Agentech is number 3, number 4. What
Gosh.
give us a little history on yourself.
Sure. So, a lot of people within the insurance industry or InsureTech industry do know me from WeGoLook forward, right? So basically the last 15 years. But prior to that, I actually started a few other companies. WeGoLook was, of course, my most successful in terms of an exit. But prior to that, I actually did quite a bit within the car industry. So started thinking of automotive. That really helped me with automotive inspections later with WeGoLook, right? But I did quite a bit within the automotive space prior to insurance. And I love cars, but that's really where I started. I actually started in second grade selling yarn belts on the playground, selling them.
Fantastic.
But the principal shut me down. And, but no, I still did quite a bit, and grew up on a farm, which, you're an entrepreneur if you're a farmer, but really started focusing on real estate and a few other companies when about 24 years ago after my son's father passed away. And prior to that, I had worked at the Washington Post. I was very successful there and had my own system in Mississippi with the Post. But after he passed away, I really needed more flexibility. And I realized that the only way to do that would be to have, my own company and create my own schedule. So that's when I started my own businesses. So that's how it started.
Did you go back to yarn belts?
I could have. I like making yarn belts. I'll make you one. Next time I see you, I'm bringing you one.
He will wear it at ITC Vegas.
That's right.
I've always said to Lee, why don't I have a yarn belt? But
It's happening.
but that's another podcast.
That's right.
So you co-found or found WeGoLook, and we've heard that story before. It's a great story. And then you have an exit on WeGoLook, and so kind of bring us from there up to here. And I'll say this out loud: the thing that makes your story, I think, particularly wonderful is that is not just the professional challenges, but also your personal challenges that you've had to endure during this time.
Yep. So sure. So exited to Crawford and Company in 2017, stayed on for about 2.5 years, left there. My business partner, Kenneth Knoll, and I, we founded a boutique InsureTech consulting firm. Really enjoyed that, found a fantastic platform, Build Array, which he and I are both partners in still today. But also began working for a company out of Australia. They reached out and wanted me to kind of take their platform. So Claim Central wanted me to bring their platform here to the United States, and worked on scaling that and built out an ecosystem for third-party repair and restoration providers. Also, at the same time, the governor of Oklahoma asked me to come over and help with the technology at Oklahoma Employment Security Commission, which is funded by the Department of Labor here in Oklahoma. And so I led over 400 employees there in 24 offices and started working on that also through COVID. Whenever I was actually diagnosed in January of 2020 with breast cancer. So I was kind of doing that and started working with the Australian company, helping that. And it was a bit much to do it all. We started getting a lot of the unemployment claims, and the technology was 1984 COBOL mainframe. So that was really challenging, but I helped out there and made sure that the state was on good footing, but felt like I really needed to focus on restoring my health and continue to work for the company out of Australia and working on that platform. I enjoyed that. And then we sold that in an exclusive partnership, licensing partnership into Eberl Claim Services, and I stayed on there for about 2 years as SVP of Platform Partnerships and continued to learn more and more about the insurance space from all these different angles, right, and perspectives. But couldn't stay away from the founder seat. And AI, I've had a passion for it for about the last 6 years. Prior to that, I was really trying to learn as much as I could about quantum computing just on my own. And so this is a fantastic fit for me. And I, of course, had a passion of how do we take this claims workflow over the last 15 years? How do we make this better and more efficient? And so that's where I am today, Rob. That's my a small journey. I have to color my hair. It's gray. It's gray now.
I know mine sure is getting gray when I look at Rob. Rob's still nice. No gray on Rob.
It's blonde. I prefer the word blonde.
Yeah.
And it's true. We have more fun. We do have more fun. So now that brings us up to Agentech,
or
whatever it is,
Agentech.
Agentech. What? Tell us about that origin story. I mean, I'm always interested in the entrepreneurial process. I've had the opportunity myself to be part of founding several companies. I love it. It's a fun thing. How did this one happen?
This is fantastic. So one of my neighbors from the past, he and his wife, fantastic folks. He exited his company, TokenX, for about 140 million, super successful cybersecurity data tokenization expert. He reached out to me and he said, there's a group in Tulsa. They have this, it's a venture, basically, firm, but they started working on pet insurance claims, and they had reached out to him to talk to him about it. And he goes, you need to talk to Robin. And so he's the one that actually introduced me to Get Wit 19 Days out of Tulsa. And they showed me what they were doing with AI agents, which blew my mind. And they had started about 19 months ago on the process within pet insurance claims. And they asked me to come and be an advisor. And then very quickly was like, actually, we want you to lead this company. And I was very interested. I said, the workflow process and claims, no matter what the line of business is, yes, there's a lot of nuances and the data is different, but the process is fairly similar. You have first notice of loss, then you have closure. And in between, there are many similarities, right? And so, and it's all quite still manual. And so that's how that started. And Alex and I had been wanting to work together. Actually, Kenneth and I had worked with him a little bit back in also 2020 with Marsh McClellan, helping him with Cyber Catalyst, that he was part of Marsh McClellan's program there. So had worked with him professionally a little bit and had been wanting to work with him anyway. And so he and I decided just to really take this company to the next level and, really bring in all the different feature sets and experience. And we raised $3 million seed round here in Oklahoma. It took us 30 days to do so because both of us were able to go. It was awesome.
Fabulous. Yeah. Fabulous.
That was a treat.
That must have felt good. Yeah.
It felt amazing, right? So that was wonderful to be able to go to previous investors that he and I both had helped quite a bit, and they were happy to sign on, and everything's going great. So that's kind of the genesis of how it all came about, for sure.
And then y'all went into stealth mode. Was this all in stealth mode? Was this all, weren't you kind of in stealth mode before you made the announcement of what it was? Tell me a little bit about being in stealth mode and what that means.
So stealth mode is really just where you're kind of working on your idea and making sure, working with a design partner of sorts and making sure socializing it with potential customers, understanding the actual problem, ensuring that your solution is working, right? And how do you tweak it? So that is where that beachhead of pet insurance really came in and was quite handy. It's fascinating when you start thinking about AI, and the reason that it was in stealth mode, and when I say stealth mode, it's really just, you're not trying to advertise that you have these kind of solutions. You're just working on it, tweaking it, making it ready for the market. And so that's really, in my mind, what I say stealth mode is here. And then when we were confident that we would be able to scale and service additional customers, that's when we came out of stealth mode and started making a lot of the announcements.
And so I've had the privilege of sitting through, I think, 3 pretty in-depth demos, and I've been fascinated with it every single time. So why don't you tell our audience, give us a good understanding. What is Agentech and what do you mean by agents, right? You have little agents. Why don't you give us a little insight into what that means?
Sure. So Agentech is technically, I would say we're a technology company, right? And we leverage Agentic AI to support the insurance claims workflows, and we provide a digital workforce of AI agents. Our goal is to really boost that desk adjuster productivity and lower the claims cost with that digital workforce. And so, what I mean by that, a lot of people start thinking about, what is AI? And AI is really a machine-based system, right, that's capable of producing an output, which utilizes machine or human-based data to formulate outcomes. They mimic our intelligence, right, human intelligence. But when you start talking about AI agents, they're really autonomous software systems. They perceive their environment, they can make decisions, they can take actions to achieve specific goals. So often with the ability to learn and adapt over time. And so I think, when I try to explain it, a big difference is agentic AI is not really prompt based. So a lot of people are like, ChatGPT, which is more of a generative AI, and you have to ask it a question and get information. Now with agentic AI systems, you can give it a goal and or a task, and it can figure out based on guidelines, based on what you've kind of, I would say, trained it with, able to go and achieve those goals. So it's pretty cool. It's different.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. I was just kind of, what are some examples of ways that it's being used, right? What are some actual examples of ways that people are using these bots, these agents?
Yes. So happy to kind of talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, I'll bring in some just personal, what people use it for, but then also the insurance space, because I think it's really important for listeners to have a good understanding of our reality now, right? And where we're living. And, but agents, they can, for your home, right? They can plan, order, and actually even pay for delivery or meals, right? They can organize your emails, messages, and respond. You're probably using some of that now. Gather, analyze, present data for reports. If you think about in the physical world, just these fully autonomous self-driving cars like Waymo, right? And Tesla's bringing them out as well. Those are kind of examples of different agentic AI systems that kind of can work together. When we start talking about in the insurance space, it's important to understand that, you have these singular AI agents that are very good at specific tasks. But where the magic sits is I would say is within orchestration, right? That's kind of an advanced mode. And so this is where the agents can recruit, manage, coordinate actions of the other agents, and it gets really interesting. So that's when you're unlocking networked intelligence for greater outcomes. So, the key there is kind of getting these agents to work as a team. And so to answer your question, think about services like automated FNOL analysis, error identification recommendation. I think we showed you some of the weekly claim status updates, the custom call scripts, communication templates. Of course, you've also got file review. We're actually doing this file review that we're working on. We've trademarked a name called QA Complete because it's doing so well. And I can talk more about that, but it's just been amazing what we've been able to do with file review. Now, it's taken us, we've been working on it since November. So, quite a few months, right? But it's amazing what it can do now. So happy to talk about that too.
Please. Yeah. I think file review and quality assurance in the world of claims is a very big deal. Why don't you tell us a little more about what you're doing with that and things you're seeing?
Sure. So again, we built a digital catalog of over 200. I call them digital coworkers because in the insurance space, when you start using the real term of agents, it gets a little confusing with insurance agents.
Right.
So I like
Right.
to
It has a meaning that isn't necessarily claim oriented.
exactly, and which is different within other industries, right? But the true term of agentic agent, just so everyone understands, is think of it as just like a tool set, a digital coworker. And I like to make sure that people understand that the workflow and the way that you, and maybe we can talk about this in a minute, how you coordinate working alongside a human. It's pretty interesting. Just time out before I answer your question. Right now, you have a human in the loop, right? That's with the AI, and then at some point, it's going to be really AI running a lot of things and asking. It's going to be kind of reverse, where you've got people will still be in the loop, but it will be a lot less than we are now. So it's going to be interesting. I think about 10, 15 years from now, what that looks like.
Oh, I can only
But
imagine.
for right now, what we've done, we've taken these over 200 agents that we've built, and some of them are focused on a very specific task. So if you think of just kind of a snapshot here, where you take the, say the deck page of an OL, you have an orchestration team that can kind of determine initial coverage issues. Then you have the agents that come in and identify which policy documents apply to the policy. They identify documents that affect areas of coverage, the limits, loss settlement. They can verify whether the date of loss falls within the policy period. And if it does, then you have an agent that can trigger an alert and notify, say, hey, this may need to go to underwriting. You have agents that can verify if there's a cancellation date, whether the cancellation date predates the date of loss. You can verify, speaking of date of loss, if that date of loss is 6 months prior to the reported date. You can verify if there's been a prior claim. So you start thinking about all these different agents, and they can pull insured agent information, loss location. They can analyze the pool available coverages, pool limitations, perils. I mean, there's just a lot you can do within this orchestration team. We have, they analyze the claims. So we have like teams that they all work together, or they can work in tandem as singular agents. So it's pretty cool.
You're not talking about people, right?
No,
You're talking about all these agents. This is all digital, entirely digital.
Yes. Digital coworkers.
Digital coworkers.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, and many of these things are traditionally where a claims organization would count on an individual to track and take care of, correct?
Correct. So yeah. So kind of what you're talking about, the couple of examples I've given, think about, it doesn't require a licensed person to be able to read and understand some of those things, right? So think of just the very manual, mundane tasks. I even have it on our website. I'm like, the claims adjuster is not supposed to be an administrative assistant. They are still performing so much just redundant work that think of these not so much as digital agents or digital coworkers as they are as digital assistants, Rob. So they're coming in and supporting the claim handler by automating these things because they're intelligent enough not to make a pun on the word intelligent using AI,
Right?
but they are intelligent, right? So
you're giving the claim rep or the adjuster a team.
Yes.
Right? You're giving them a
Yes.
team.
Yes.
Without
That
right. Without all the problems that come along with having a team.
right. And what's amazing is, so we have a non-integrated solution, which you can just drop in, say your exact files or totality files, but the integrated solution is incredible because it's just happening in the background for that desk, right? For the claim handler. So when you're talking about the team there, they see that, like for an example, we're integrated into Snapsheet. You can manually add the Agentech tag, or you can have it automatically added depending on how you want to have it set up. So they do see when there's work being done. It has the Agentech tag, or it has our watermark behind any document. We want to make sure they understand that it was generated by Agentech, but it's being done for them, right? So they're able to focus more on making those complex decisions, focusing more on how do we take care of that customer, but it also helps boost their productivity. So, in PET, we found true numbers that we were boosting adjuster productivity 4x and reducing claims costs by 67%. We should have data for P&C over the next, for sure, I'd say 45 to 60 days that I'm going to be able to share, showing kind of what does that look like? How are we able to come in? But we've already identified in Snapsheet out of they have like 1,034 tasks that their customers are able to choose and use. We've identified that we can automate about 56% of those already.
That's
and
fantastic.
that is,
Wow.
it's amazing. So just like, think about the desk can come in, and instead of having 80 tasks when they open up their window to work, it's down to 40, It's awesome. I love it.
Or 20. Lee, so let me ask you, Lee.
Yeah.
Like you said, you've been looking at this for our organization, full disclosure. And in your position, Lee runs all of our TPA operations at Alacrity. I mean, what's in it for you? What do you see here?
It's that exact same thing. You're making the desk adjuster, you're making their life easier, right? You're saying, these are all the tasks that you're not going to have to worry about. And here's the summary of the file. And here's the things that you might have missed that they're going to give you the idea. They can work more files. They can work them quicker, right? So using this new technology, it doesn't necessarily replace jobs. It just gives the jobs that much more oomph, right? That much more ability to do a correct and good job. And it causes stress levels to go down. It really helps with a real-time QA, right? You know what's going on. So there's a lot of benefit whenever you look at this new technology that's really in its infancy stage, right? When you think about Gen AI, it's so new. It's really where it's going. That's the fascinating part. But today, it can make a desk adjuster's life way better. And it can make the claim more accurate and more correct. That's where I see the value be.
I think that's a key question is, it's great that they can do a lot of stuff, but A, does it make them more accurate? B, does the claim rep, the person at the top of this pyramid of help, right? Are they using it?
Yeah,
right.
I also think you got to think of it like a checklist, right? You might have 50 points on a checklist, and now you can take off, say, 50 of those points because you have a machine in the background doing all the things that a human used to that a human doesn't have to do anymore, right? Verification, data loss within policy, term, right? That's a checkbox that can be done for you. Now you can move on and show empathy and do more things that a human needs to do. I don't want to take away from Robin here, but that's how I see it.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to note here, Rob, that at Agentech, the agents aren't actually making any adjudication decisions, right? They're not adjudicating the claim. They're simply automating a lot of this and presenting, key information back to the claim handler at decisioning points, helping with next best action steps. So and back to Lee's point, these validation checks are huge because they'll have like files, like pages and pages that they have to read through. And you start thinking about just the mental, I'd say, burnout of someone having to do that day in, day out. And I talked with a lady, it's been a couple of months ago, but during cat events, she takes her laptop to her kids' ball games. And I'm like, that's just not a good quality of life.
Yeah.
So back to your point, it's like, how do we help them from suffering this mental burnout, improving their quality of life, making sure they're happier, making, you know, they're still confirming these, but if we can go in and very quickly say there was not a sketch included, there was tax included on this, and there was not supposed to be in this state for this service, like, and give this checklist right away through all these documents, and that allows them to, okay, yeah, let's kick this back to the field, right? Or we can, that's okay that we missed that. I'm going to go in and change it, and we're going to push it on over to the carrier. So there's a lot of time savings. But one other thing I like to think about is, you know, there are a lot of youngsters out there that aren't necessarily thinking they want to, you know, go into the insurance industry as a career, and they want cool tools. These are the kind of tools that we're going to need in order to kind of help, I would say, offset the huge retirement wave that we have coming up and that we're currently in with adjusters. So
yeah.
Anyway,
that's a great point. You know, if you're looking to the workforce of tomorrow, if you will, it doesn't have a pen and a pad of paper, so to speak, right? Yeah. They have an Xbox or whatever it is, and they use different things in their lives for productivity, and they're used to that, and that's the language that they speak and that they understand. And so I think that's a really interesting, good point. Lee, did you want to ask something?
Well, I think it's important to talk about implementation of technology, right? Because you're implementing this technology with multiple generations. And I read something the other day about how people use ChatGPT, right? Older folks use it as a replacement for Google, where younger people are using it as an entire operating system, right? There's these different levels. There's these people who want it and who don't want it, who want to embrace it but don't know how to embrace it. And so talk a little bit about how do you implement this new technology and make sure that you're addressing the human part of it, and just kind of walk us through a little bit of what that's like, maybe some lessons you've learned from implementing technology with humans.
Sure. So I'd start with, when this is important for everyone to understand, no matter whether you leverage internal or external tools, you really need to have what's called an AI constitution, or real guidelines for your own internal organization, but also make sure that you're in any kind of third-party provider or vendor such as Agentech also have those. So that's something we're very careful about. When you start talking about onboarding, I want to just take one step back and look at, okay, if you're going to start implementing AI, what we do is we take carrier guidelines and best practices, that sort of thing, and we create this RAG system. It's kind of like a super brain. And so it's always, anytime these digital coworkers are kind of working through any tasks, they're constantly referencing or pinging the super brain, and they're following those guidelines. So AI agents are very good, by the way, at following guidelines that are given to them. So I think that's important to understand, that so each carrier kind of has a bespoke solution. How that carries over into how humans work, especially within a TPA, the human is not having to go through a big binder or looking online through all the folders. It's already being managed that way. So there's, when you start talking about onboarding, they're not having to miss anything or wonder if they're following compliance or documenting the claim file properly. But onboarding for us, that's one reason why we came up with the non-integrated solution, so that humans could use it and see become comfortable with it, right? There's a confidence factor here of, depending on AI, because we've all used ChatGPT, or we've all used different types of tools, and we're all familiar with hallucinations, and we're like, oh, that's close, but that's not really right, or I asked for a picture of a dog, with spots, and I got, a picture of something else. And so it's becoming comfortable and understanding that very specific tools like what we offer do have the guidelines I talked about earlier and are able to present accurate data. So that's important, Harry. I mean, it doesn't matter if we make anyone faster or help them if it's not accurate.
Right. Right. The closer it is to yes or no, the more accurate it is.
Well, and we've got, what we like to do is during our onboarding process, it takes us several weeks once we start working with super users, because we want to make sure that we are doing everything exactly the way that they like, right? And we get that feedback in real time. And of course, the models learn that very quickly. But we do a deep dive. We call it an ethnography discovery session, where we follow what the human is doing bit by bit. So we're able to mimic a lot of those processes as well. So it's very much like having a true support for them. It's not, what we don't want is them having to learn another system or having to log in or learning something different. This is the way that we've created this. It's just a nice natural extension and part of the process. So the onboarding has been great. The adjusters who use it, they're like, don't ever take this tool away from me. So it's great. We just want to get it in their hands, because they will throw a fit if it's taken away. So that's great. It's fun.
Well, I think it's a fascinating thing. There are many of us, I would imagine everybody listening, we're all into technology. We all think, well, what can I do at the beginning of this new world, right? If I had started, if I was creating a company when the internet started, what could I do? And that's what you're doing, right? AI is just really coming out. Gen AI is just really, it's in its infancy stage. And when you listen to Sam Altman and everybody talk, the future is so bright. And I applaud you for saying, hey, this new technology is here. We're going to jump on this. But yet you've got to also be excited about the future, right? I mean, is that part of the everyday conversation within the company of, yeah, today we can do this, but tomorrow we can do that? Tell me a little bit about that. You don't have to give me your roadmap, but is it an exciting roadmap for what it might be?
It's so exciting. So to your point, right, our world will only continue to become more autonomous, right? And this evolution is happening just at extremely rapid pace. And I like to think about how quickly the transformation is taking place. We, the three of us, or at least Rob and I, we started with analog, right? And then of course, digital. But to your point, we're taking things over to the field. We want this to be, if you start thinking about this QA complete, this file review, we really want this to be part of the process where very quickly before the adjuster or the field adjuster even leaves, we would like for them to have understanding of what they potentially missed, so they don't have to actually go back. So there's some things like that we have. Of course, triage for the field as well during CAT events. I mean, being able to, the technology is out there. It's tying it all together on even incorporating routes that may be closed during CAT events, and being able to assign an adjuster by peril and experience and location, like some of those cool things.
Right.
We've got a lot in auto. We've been focused really on property, but we're actually right now building out some stuff with enhanced bodily injury claim support.
That's wonderful.
Total loss recovery automation. So there's some things like that we're we're focused on.
I want to ask you, before we go, I want to ask you about the impact on our industry. And when I say that, I mean the claims service provider industry, which, you've been a part of as almost a provider to it. And we've, Lee and I have been active in it as, members of that who work claims for carriers. I have to think that a product like yours has a enormous impact, because we can't just talk about today. That's not even that's not even half the story, is what today. But like when you think about 5 years from now, your brain probably explodes, right? As more and more, as you understand it better and its application better.
Yes.
What do you think the impact is on our industry of the service providers in the claims space?
Gosh, I think it's monumental, frankly. I think that, going back to...
And I'm serious. Don't hold back. I'm seriously.
So, InsureTech was just a buzzword, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, it was just a buzzword. And then all of a sudden everyone, I seriously remember going to these conferences and people were like, what's an API? And now, with InsureTech, I would say that the digitization really helped us all become organized, right? It really helped. Think about just the digital effect that we've seen over the last decade has been tremendous, right? All the different tools that adjusters have now, but now this kind of technology really helps us become truly autonomous. And I would take that one step further. You start thinking about this autonomy. Now we want the person to make the final decisions, right? But you start talking about this synthetic intelligence, and you can really start augmenting this in creating new ways of doing things. We've already started seeing small ways that we're doing that. And I have warned my team, I was like, the insurance industry doesn't like big change, but just the custom call scripts, that's a small tweak and everybody loves it because it's so focused on the policyholder and in the actual peril and the actual claim. But that's not something that has been available until now, right? Yeah. The subrogation, another way we're doing this. We have a whole subrogation agent team that is helping provide, identify the subrogation opportunities. And so, if you start thinking about ways to not just autonomize, but augment it, it will happen. This whole process will change, to your point, as the technology continues to evolve. But I think we're going to have so much of this assisted intelligence or augmented intelligence, right? Yeah. Synthetic workers. You're going to hear all of these things. And I think it's really going to make a difference. Hopefully someday it would lower the cost of everyone's insurance, but I doubt that. But it will definitely improve everyone's, I think, quality of life, including the policyholders.
Do you see, last question, do you see that the main beneficiary of this, aside from policyholder, is the carrier?
Well, I think it's any party that's involved, but sure, the carrier, because the carrier is getting back claims more quickly, right? The SLAs can be improved with this kind of technology. The cost can be lowered. The accuracy on parts of it. Now, I'm not saying that, the final estimate, the final information going over must be done by a licensed person, but there's still a lot of carriers still get files back that have inaccurate data in it that could be easily changed or easily caught by agents, digital agents. But yeah, I think the underwriters here are also winners, right? Like it's it's everybody that touches the claim. I don't know, Rob, what the exact impact will be, because it does touch all of the providers, everyone, but it's going to be absolutely transformational. And I can't wait till we have this conversation in 24 months, because so many people are starting to realize this, and people are becoming more attuned to how do we pull some of these tools in, right? And it's going to happen. Transformation.
It's wonderful to know that our podcast will be around in 24 months, Lee, because we just got our first booking. We just got our first booking for 2027,
We'll write
which
that
is
on
so
our
encouraging.
paper calendar is what we'll do. Paper calendar.
I love it.
Can I borrow your pen when we're done?
Our giant desk calendar. The days of the desk calendar is done.
Well, just know, I'm not sending you a Christmas card, Robin. Okay.
Okay.
Only digital. I'll have my AI assistant do it.
Only digital.
Well, see, I think that having an AI assistant allows you to have time to write your handwritten notes that
That's
mean more,
true,
Rob.
Rob. That's true. You can do the human things because you have the digital assistants now. So I expect my
Yeah.
handwritten card, Rob.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a big expectation
I've
for
been
me.
waiting. I've been waiting
So,
many years for that, but it'll come one day.
I think you have to get in line behind my wife first.
Probably so.
Very.
Yeah. Listen, what a wonderful thing to have you. So proud of you and thrilled to hear about what you're doing, and what you've done and accomplished is remarkable. I know from talking to Lee how exciting he is about that your product is like not only there, but it's so promising and so able. And
Yes.
that's exciting. And like you said, for us to see InsureTech continue to move forward in a substantial way, your product and your story is a great example of that. And we thank you for sharing it and for being with us. And remember, once you hit 5 times on the podcast, you get the FNO InsureTech smoking jacket
It's true.
Oh,
on back
Wow.
order.
It's on back order. It's been
from-
on back order since COVID, but it'll be here before you know it.
I love it.
Just any day now,
Any
any
day.
year now,
Any day.
any decade.
I love it.
Thank you for
Thank you.
being on, Robin.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys. And I just want to leave with just one thought for everyone. And I appreciate you all so much. But anyone who's listening, I would encourage you to learn as much as you can about artificial intelligence. And, in my opinion, the biggest risk isn't change. It is definitely failing to harness AI's full power. And, the industry is just changing many different ways, and I would just encourage everyone to lean into it. So
I love it.
thank you
I
guys
couldn't agree more.
so much.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you, ma'am.
Great seeing you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Remember when we met, Robin? ITC.
I remember hanging out at ITC with Robin.
I remember hanging out, and she was on our must find and talk to list
Yeah.
for 2 reasons. One was for working with us at our company, right?
Right.
We wanted to use, because we thought if we could just use WeGoLook, we could lower our cost and
It was a
improve our
whole new
service.
neat thing that
It
we
was a
enjoyed.
whole-
Yeah.
It was a thing. It was a thing. Now it's like old and decrepit,
I wouldn't go that far.
like
But
me.
I wouldn't
like
say
me.
that. But
But
why else did we want to meet her?
she was on every top 50 list of the most important people in InsureTech.
She was probably
Robin?
on our top 5 must get on podcast list.
Absolutely. We had to have her. We had to have her on the podcast.
Yeah.
And she was remarkable.
She was remarkable then. She is remarkable now. There is no doubt about that.
Yes. I love what she's doing now. What she's doing now is fabulous.
I said it on the podcast and I say it again. She's at the beginning of the new internet. She's at the beginning of the new whatever, changes the world. And she's decided with her group to build this company and to say, we're just going to jump in. We're going to take the really cool technology and we're going to build it in a way that we can grow. And I love it. And as I said, I've seen the demos numerous times and it's great. It's great. It's a product that works. It's a product that I'm excited about. And anything that Robin decides that she wants to put her name on, that she believes in it. So I think it's great.
Yeah, she's all in, and I know that she'll be a fabulous shepherd for it too. Mm-hmm. And I hope that we can do something with her. Do you see that happening?
I think it's the future's bright.
Well, we thank Robin, our good friend, for being with us, and we thank you for coming with us. And thank you to our production team. That now includes a new face,
That's
Israel.
Right.
Israel is with us, and who knows? You might be hearing from Israel, so be on the lookout. And until next time, we'll say
goodbye, everybody.